Hello and welcome to the OverShadow ShadowCast with your host Thomas Anderson and tech wizard Abigail Mott.
Hello again, everybody.
So we'll get straight into it. How are you?
I'm alright, how are you? Why do you need to think about that?
I thought I heard a strange noise there. No, I'm fine. I'm good.
That's good.
So, now, we have some exciting news here. And we'll start with the exciting news. What have you been playing, Abigail?
I have been playing and finishing GTA 3.
Yes.
Finally, it is over. I never have to go back to that game ever again. Unless I want to, which won't be for a while.
Or, I make you play through all the GTA games on camera.
No.
And we can laugh at you.
No. No. That will not happen.
As president and CEO.
So anyway, as I was when it finally finished, I was really, really happy, but also kind of sad at the same time. Because I was like, oh, I quite enjoyed that last mission to a certain extent.
Well, I don't remember much from that game, but I do remember the last mission being very long and exciting.
So I can't. Can you remind me, where was I when we last?
You had 3 missions left to go,
so
but we thought it was 2.
Right, yeah. So I can't remember if I had done the last Donald Glove mission last time we spoke.
No.
But if I hadn't, what I had to do was act as a decoy.
Yeah, you hadn't done decoy.
Right.
I don't think you'd done
Okay, so I had to act as a decoy. I had to get to the airport island. I still can't remember what it's called. A lot of this is just going to be blanked from my memory. I had to get a truck and act as a decoy and lure the police force away from this warehouse where I think an actual truck was going to be departing with the goods.
My look on my face is utterly sort of blank bemusement because I don't remember. So
Yeah. So what I had to do was lure all the police away. And the first couple of times I tried it, they kept blocking me and I kept blowing up. So what I did was I looked through a walkthrough on how to actually do it, and it turns out that before you leave this warehouse, there's like a parking system outside with trucks. There's like a ramp.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to do is you need to go up the ramp and you sort of, not fly, but you fall towards the ground. You're about, I would say, 12 feet from the ground.
All right.
On the sledge, and then you just drive off, and it's a countdown, so you literally just have to keep going until the countdown's over. So there's a countdown happening.
That's how long you have to hold them off
2 minutes, I think it was 2 minutes. I had to hold them off for 2 minutes while the police were also chasing me. The walkthrough suggested you go up this ramp, you go onto the ground, you then go to the airport, and you just do a lap of the airport until the timer runs down. And then all the stars will just disappear, all the police stars will just disappear, and that'll be it. So I tried it. I didn't go up the ramp, right? And I crashed and fell over. I tumbled over and I had to restart the mission.
So you went basically 2 wheels on, 2 wheels off and fell off.
No, I thought I was all right, and then all of a sudden, as I got to the end of the ramp, I went left. For some reason, I just fell off left and rolled onto the top of the van, which was pointless, so I had to restart the mission. And it was very, very annoying, because every time I had to restart it, obviously, you have to find everything again. And of course, the maps are evil. Well, not evil, but they're horrible.
Well, to cheer you up, there's a checkpoint system in 5. If you die during a mission, it just sends you back to the last checkpoint.
Stop telling me about GTA 5. This is not GTA 5, this is GTA 3.
But you're done with this torture, so there's no harm in me telling you, but...
So there was harm in all the weeks leading up to this.
No, I don't think there was then either, because I was giving you hope.
There's no hope. Anyway, so I tried it again, and again I fell off the ramp at the wrong angle, and it's starting to rain again.
It's starting to rain here, not in the game.
Yes. On my soul. So eventually I managed to actually get off the ramp at the right angle. And it was actually pretty easy after that, because I was literally, like I said, literally going around and around in a circle at the airport, and it was fine.
Oh, I can't wait till you get to play Vice City. One of my favourite things in Vice City was just driving around the airport.
Okay, so that was easy enough. And then I thought, because Oh wait, I had completed that mission, but I hadn't saved it. That's what it was. I didn't save it after I completed it because I finished it.
That
Did I?
mission or the previous one?
No, I'm thinking of Escort Service.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I would have another mission after this, and it turns out I don't. I literally, it has on the map D, which means that you think there's another mission.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to D, and then there's a cutscene, and he's just literally just walking around trying to find Donald Love, and you can't find him. Like, he's not there.
Yeah.
And then you leave, and then it's the Catalina mission.
Right, the last one.
The last mission, which I did. It took many times, many hours.
To be honest, you got these missions a lot quicker than I thought you would.
Well, the Catalina one was very difficult because, so what it is Catalina has kidnapped, is it
I'm not sure if we want to give away spoilers to the mission, so I wouldn't give away story
Well,
spoilers.
I have to give away a spoiler because...
No, you could just give a layout of what you have to do.
So I have to go rescue someone. Can I say that? If not, you can cut it out or bleep it over.
What I'm suggesting is that instead of saying I had to go and, blow up a building, you could just say I had to get to a certain building.
I had to get to Catalina, and then I had to get to another location, all while this is being timed. Countdown, sorry. It's a countdown system again.
Right.
But the annoying thing is that you no longer have any of your big weapons. You just get a weapon at the beginning, and that's your weapon, and you have to collect weapons as you go. During this mission.
Yeah.
You have to collect weapons as you go, and you have to really use everything you've learned so far in the game to be able to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
So which I quite like that, because I felt like the missions before, you weren't really necessarily using the skills you had developed or you had learned throughout the game. You were just pretty much just doing what you wanted. So that was quite nice. However, it did take a lot of goes to be able to do this because I either kept dying or the time kept running out. And sometimes I didn't know how to do it. Eventually I sort of got a rhythm I got a rhythm going.
Mm-hmm.
So literally every time I played it, I was getting a little bit closer to the goal.
Yeah.
And eventually I got it.
That's fine.
And then it auto-saved.
That's exactly the way you want to...
So I thought that was good. You see, if every mission had been like that, I would be, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's why I'm telling you 100% that your problem with that game was that's the game you were learning on.
Yeah.
Because that is exactly what it will be like in actual games. In fact, if I'm being honest with you, I was watching a Destiny 2 raid playthrough and they weren't even getting progress every single time. It was every 6th or 7th time they'd get it slightly further forward. So as long as you're seeing some progress, you'll get there. Because you were just learning how to use a controller, how to play a game like that, how to do all the sorts of things that you will already now going into any future game, that it was more frustrating and you weren't making progress because there were so many potential mistakes you could make. You were just making fresh ones and then you weren't learning or you were still in the learning process, so you're repeating them as well.
Yeah.
Whereas with that, you'll learn every time. By the end of that game, with that mission, you'll learn every time. So I think that's your problem deep down with this game, is it happens to be your training wheels.
Yeah. I finished it, took the game out, put it back in its case, switched off the PlayStation 2 and walked away.
I still have to admit it, you got that done pretty early because it was about 2 days after we'd recorded the last one that you had done it.
Yeah. Because I was just sort of, I just kept like, I was like, the end is in sight.
Aye.
I'm just going to keep at it till it is over and done with. Then I don't need to think about it again. And then I was like, oh, I kind of miss it because but it's only because that last mission was pretty good. That was it. Everything else, I still think is rubbish.
There are quite a few missions in GTA Vice City that are amazing, but there are also a few that you might struggle with because of little things that you're going to have to learn, and also because they are inherently not well designed. They don't really go back to a lot of these particular mission styles in later games after sort of Vice City, San Andreas, because they don't work properly. Nobody liked them.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful you can complete it, but I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if you weren't able to, because some of the missions are just unnecessarily fiddly.
Okay, can I give my roundup now?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, let's get the bad stuff out of the way.
This is your sort of official review.
This is, in my opinion,
but that's what I'm saying. This is your official objective review, just like mine of the crew.
Yeah. So the bad stuff is, I find it quite annoying that the main character doesn't talk. I felt like I couldn't really get into the story.
The main character is mute. He has a disability.
I didn't know that.
No, I know. It's sort of like that. To be honest,
is that?
I'm not sure.
Is that explained in the game?
I'm not sure because I don't know how. But the meta of the game, and I think this might have been done during like advertising or in sort of like game magazines at the time. That character is mute.
Well, I feel very bad now for saying that. I apologise to the character.
Here's the thing: does knowing the fact that that character was mute change the fact that you are annoyed that he didn't speak? Would you have preferred them to make a non-mute character, or are you okay with it now you know that he's mute?
I would have preferred if he had actually spoken, because I couldn't really get into the mindset of the game. Like, I felt like I wasn't... Like, I felt like I just couldn't get into the actual story arc of the game.
See, I'm wondering if that's more to do with the fact that it took you 6 months to complete, and therefore the start of the game, which is where the whole thing a lot of the GTA stories evolve as you go, whereas this story is actually what happens in like the opening cutscene, and then you're trying to undo that.
Right, okay.
So if you can't remember the opening cutscene, the story's not going to quite work the same way.
Okay, well,
Whereas a spoken character, I have to give you, would probably be reminding people of what happened, and you'd be able to keep with it, you'd be able to be reminded of it.
Yeah.
Whereas in this particular instance, that doesn't happen. I have to admit, I understand where you're coming from, and that story, it didn't grab me like most GTA stories do. Like, Vice City, San Andreas, and 5 for me are far better, and they all have spoken characters when it comes to the way that it grabbed me. But GTA 4 is a spoken character, and I thought that was absolute garbage. It was rubbish.
Right.
So I don't think it's the fact the character can't speak. I think it's just the way they used the character who can't speak.
Okay.
Because he just looks like he's trying to be a hard man.
Okay.
But now that you know that that's the reason, what do you think?
Well, giving my opinion now that I know that he is actually a mute character, I can understand that they were trying to do something there. I don't know what it was, but I honestly have no idea why they decided to make a mute character. If they just wanted to make it mute, then fair enough. But from my opinion, I sometimes invest in I think it's a thing of characterization. I remember them talking about this when like I'm going to compare it to something completely different. I'm going to compare this thing to Bambi.
Okay.
So I remember when people were talking about when they were creating Bambi. Now, as humans, we gesture more with our hands than anything else. With our hands and our voice. That is how we express feelings, emotions, and things like that. It's how we can, be a little bit more dramatic. However, when they were designing Bambi, they realized there's no hands. So they had to make something else be more dramatic, which was the eyes. They decided to make the eyes more dramatic. Like when Bambi's crying and things like that. No, just keep going with me. When you take something away, you have to make something else more dramatic, more exaggerated, to be able to empathize with the character.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what I find, because I feel like it was just basically a mannequin walking around. There was nothing, like even with the side characters, the bosses, like the mafia bosses or the gang bosses or whatever, there was emotion there. There was something you could not so much sympathize with. There was something that you could connect to because you've experienced anger or anything like that. They were very, very emotional, very moved about quite a lot. However, this character literally just walks about and shoots stuff and drives. and jumps in a very weird way.
I mean, there's obviously limited things they could do. They couldn't have one character whose eyes were twice the size.
No,
of
I understand
else's.
that, but when you take something away, normally people give something else more exaggerated.
Yeah, but what I was going to say was the character does have almost no physical expression. You know, I don't.
All the other
remember-
characters seem to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't remember this character. Do you know ever getting like angry or frustrated in this game? All I can remember is it's sort of like he is in the lore of the game, just an outlet for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
He has
It's a bland.
nothing of it.
It's a bland character.
It's a blank slate.
Yeah.
So the character doesn't get angry. You get angry at home in your bedroom playing the game. So it's
Very many times.
Basically he is just a camera.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is I prefer.
Even if he was, I agree with you. Even if he is mute. There's still something not there in the character. Like he
Yes,
doesn't really
it
care.
feels like there's something missing, and I don't mean a voice.
No, it's just that the fact that he doesn't speak adds to it, especially if you don't know that he's officially a mute character. So I could definitely see how that character would be frustrating because he's so almost lifeless
Yeah.
outside of the voice that when you add in the fact he's got no voice of his own, it's almost like the character's not even there.
Yeah. That's my opinion on it. That's my thoughts on it anyway.
I say I would compare it to the Master Chief, who in Halo 1 basically never speaks, but there's still something about him in the cutscenes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's still, you feel like he's not speaking because he's exuding stoicism, not just because he's not.
Okay. I'll take your word for it, for I've never played those games. So I will carry on. The cars, as you all know, I have complained about many times. I hate the way that I've got here written the way they fall over. What I mean is, the what's it? The Land Cruiser just basically tips over
the
it.
The tipping mechanic, it will just, you'll basically just go along nicely. You'll hit what would be something with the same thickness as a slice of paper, and then suddenly you'll be on your top end.
Pretty much. And also how fragile they are.
Did you say that again?
How fragile they are.
It sounded like you said how fat child they are.
Fragile.
Right, okay, so yeah, you're right. In 3 especially, they
Fragile.
In 3 especially, they detonate very easily.
They do. And the locking mechanism, I don't know if it was because of my controller.
I think you need to actually explain that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I decided
What
to
is
say,
locking?
the locking mechanism is when you hit, is it L2 or L... It's one of the L2 or R2 buttons.
Right.
So the gun will lock onto...
You will aim at
somebody.
Right, so that's called a lock-on mechanism.
I was close.
No, you're right. I'm just giving you... Cause,
The lock-on mechanism. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was because of my controller, but I found it to be very frustrating.
It sounds like from what you've said before that it was a range problem. It only works within about 2 centimetres.
No, seriously. During that last mission, I had to... When I had one gun and it was a close range gun,
mm-hmm.
I had to get very close. I was taking a heck of a lot of damage just to be able to lock on and just shoot at people.
I think it's better in later, especially in 5.
And the last thing I have written here is the map is stupid, stupid, stupid.
This is all the bad stuff, right?
Yes, this is all the bad stuff. Yeah. There is good stuff.
The fact there's no major map and only a mini map makes it very difficult to get around. You're basing it entirely on memory and you just don't have the experience of storing maps in your memory like that. So that's
interesting because there's a bit of that in the good stuff. The good stuff.
You've missed one though.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
No, I haven't.
Police chases are beyond ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Also, I'm not sure if that's how you spell chases.
It auto-corrected to that.
That looks more like...
Police chases are ridiculous because they just bombard you constantly. You as soon as you get trapped, that is it. You might as well restart the game.
When you're driving down a straight road, you just pop in front of you every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, when you learn to manage that, it can actually be quite interesting and fun, but it is annoying while you're learning.
Yeah. Okay, so the good stuff. The stars for the police chase go away quite quickly.
Do you still get those little bonus stars that you can pick up that take a star away automatically?
See, there were these...
I say still.
There's
There was games afterwards that had that.
Shush. There are things you can pick up, like around the maps there is like health that you can pick up. You don't necessarily have to go to a hospital, however they are very difficult to find. But I kept coming across like police shields.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was because I kept going through it but nothing was
If
happening.
you drive through it with stars, it takes one off.
Right, okay, obviously I wasn't driving through them with stars then. I didn't know what it was because they would just stay there and I had no idea what they were.
I think they're gone by San Andreas.
Okay, so shall I move on to the good stuff?
Yes.
The stars go away quite quickly, within reason.
Even if you don't use the special bonus.
Yeah. The maps are small enough to memorize where you're going as long as you do the lap a fair few times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that because you don't have practice of memorizing maps. Oh, by the way, just to explain to the listeners, map in this context is the sort of the game world you're in playing in.
It's a map.
Well, yeah, but it's a different. I've had to explain this to family members before when they've not played games. The map is the game world, basically. You would still call it a map, even if the game doesn't give you a map.
But okay.
So
I would still call it a map. If I saw it, I would still call it a map because there's roads.
Well, even if there's no roads,
buildings.
even if you're just like running around a barren moon, the area of play is called the map.
Right. Okay. Where was I?
And I just think that because this is like your first proper map.
I'm gonna start acting like a tour guide and said, please leave all questions and comments till the end of my talk.
No, I think it would take you longer this time. You'll get better at it in the future.
So the voice acting is good. I genuinely enjoyed listening to the ones that talked.
Is that why you were specifically annoyed the main character didn't? Because you thought it would be good?
I thought it would be very good. Mm-hmm. But I found it entertaining. I loved the woman who played, was it Maria? Or I don't know her name. The one in the leopard print skirt.
No idea.
Well, I really enjoyed her. I thought she was really fun. And I thought that the other ones were very intimidating when they needed to be intimidating. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And the last one I have is, it's nice that you can choose between missions so you can take a break and try something else.
Right, so the voice acting is really always good with the exception of 4, but I don't think that was the actor's fault. And the last point you've got here with the good you choose between missions, what you mean by that is that there's several missions available to do at once.
So there are people that you could go to for a mission.
Mm-hmm.
Go. There are people that you can go to for a mission, but you can try a mission from one person, and if you feel like you're getting a bit fed up, you can go and try the mission for the other person. It's not really going to make much of a difference in what order you do them to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I would always leave the Catalina one for the very last mission you do. Just keep trying the Donald Love ones and any of the others that you need to do before you do the Catalina one, because that is worth the wait as the last mission.
It's the ultimate mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same with all the other games later on. There's certain points where you have to do certain missions to progress the story in a certain way.
Yeah.
But a lot of the rest of the time you can pick and choose what you want to do.
Yeah, so I quite enjoyed that bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I have to say on it.
Would you recommend anybody plays it, I suppose?
I would recommend it as a learning game.
Mm-hmm.
But please go into it knowing you're going to hate land cruisers. You're going to hate the lock-on mechanism.
I still hate land cruisers, so there's no problem with that.
Do they still flip over in the other games?
A bit easier than everything else because they're supposed to. But in 5, you can write a vehicle.
Do you think a car that size would actually tip over that easily?
Far more easily than a car that was lower to the ground. Because it's got
in real life.
Yeah, because it's got a lot of its weight.
But as easily as in the game.
Oh no, of course not. No.
Okay,
that thing hits a fart and flips over. No, but the point is that they are slightly easier to speed. But by 5, if your car's upside down, you can just write it, and the car doesn't go on fire and explode.
Mm-hmm.
So
I give this game a rating of 3 stars out of 5.
Okay, that's pretty good considering you're playing it now.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Be interesting to see if you played a modern game first and then played Vice City. If Vice City was like 1 or 2. That's what I'm thinking would be interesting. But yeah, it's possible.
Okay, shall we move on to what you've been playing? Or do you want to skip it?
One last question. What would you recommend somebody who wasn't learning play 3? Or because they would logically get through it
if
faster.
you want a nostalgic factor of the... Is it polygonal? Polygonal look.
I think all games are polygonal, it's just they look more polygonal.
Well, okay, if you want extreme polygonal and characters that jump in a really weird way, like...
That's not extreme polygonal.
I know it's not, but
And
for
also,
me
I
it
think it's
is.
polygonal is the word you're looking for.
I literally asked if I was right, saying the right thing. You said yes, and now you've corrected me.
Yeah, I was.
That
trying
makes
to
you
be,
look like a.
I was trying to be nice, but then I realised I'm not. Can't really argue with that one. Can you?
No.
So, would you recommend it for somebody who's not played it before? So there's no.
I would, to see where GTA came from. You see,
Mm.
if they started with 5, I would definitely. The thing is, like, it doesn't matter if it's a game or if it's a book or if it's a TV show, film, whatever. I always recommend you go back to the beginning and work your way back.
I would agree that the 2D stuff is probably not really the beginning of. You'd probably want
I
to
would
start
think
with the
GTA.
3D.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
GTA 3D.
So that's my opinion.
Okay.
Move on to what you've been doing. What have you been doing?
I've just been playing a bit more Fallout 4.
Enjoying it?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah. I mean, I don't rate the game objectively, but I have actually enjoyed it. I have put a good few, it was like 150 hours in or something like that. There's other games where I've played more, Dragon Age Origins, Skyrim, Total War games, but I have put a lot of time into it for a game that I think objectively is just silly. At times they've made some really bad decisions, and it does explain why Fallout 76 has been well received as it has. But I do actually quite like it. I'm having fun with it. And I've just been trying to max out the companions a bit more to get all the perks. And then there's one side quest line I want to do, and then 2 DLC sets, which is Far Harbour and Nuka Cola World.
Right.
And then I want to do the main story. I'm enjoying doing the wee Radiant quest, jumping around the world with my companions and getting their companion affinity up, because it's very easy at this high level, I'm like 71, to do that. But what is really annoying me is sort of two things. One, the enemies level up, but the settlement inhabitants that you're protecting don't. So they're like the base model wee random NPC firing a pipe pistol, whereas a raider in full power armour with a rocket launcher is walking towards them. So it's very annoying because I'm having to save it as soon as I accept the defence mission. Because there's two types of settlement defence, where you can defend it or you can attack the enemy while they're in their own camp.
Yeah.
And if you're having to defend, I save it straight away, wait to see where they come from, and then load it back up and just hunt them down. Because if you fight too close to the settlement, you're going to lose people.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't be bothered recruiting more people. So I just do it that way. It's a bit of a cheat, but the settlements should be, they should level up. People inside the settlement should level up as you level up, if the enemy are going to. I just think that's only fair. But the primary concern that I've had has been that there's a settlement building mechanic in the game where you can build buildings and you can build defences and stuff like that, and you can build like a little farm or a well for water, you can build a reactor for energy, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't work properly. It's very limited. They had to add in 2 or 3 DLCs which added things to the building pool. And they don't work particularly well anyway, because unless you build in very specific areas, because you're limited to where you can build. You can only build in settlements that are allied to you.
Okay.
And then only in those settlements there's a big magic green line around it that tells you where you can build to. But what really annoys me is that green line is sometimes arbitrary. So sometimes it will go right up to this sort of fence that's in the middle of nowhere, and you just wished it went 2 inches further so you could delete that fence, otherwise you just got a random fence in the way.
Yeah.
But also when you're building your own stuff, like I built a farm at Sanctuary Hills, and when I say that, I just put a whole load of food in the ground. That was it. And then built a fence around it. But because the fence auto-locks to the other pieces of fence, so it comes together in one contiguous piece of fence,
Yeah.
it doesn't take into account the fact that the ground isn't level. So in one corner, the fence is it's like 1.5 feet off the ground. You've got a dog in the game, and I'm pretty certain the dog could crawl underneath that, as in without crawling, could just stand up and walk. It's just silly. It doesn't work properly.
Does it actually go under the fence, or does it acknowledge the fact that there's supposed to be a fence there?
There is a
barrier.
There is a collision box.
Right.
So it can't go through, but I'm pretty certain it could. And that's sort of what's annoying me, is that there's no landscaping capacity in the game, so everything floats. Even if there's no reason for it, everything floats half a foot off the ground or an inch off the ground, somewhere between these ridiculous extremes. But none of it's sitting properly where it needs to be unless it's an item and it drops, which is quite rare. Because you can't build an item that drops, you've got to place it. So they're all sitting a little bit off the ground. They look ridiculous. You've got no landscaping mechanic to flatten the world out, so you've just got to build on the hillock that you're given, which makes no sense, because if you can spend the time building a cement wall, surely you can spend the time doing a bit of digging. And then you're limited in what you can build. So I built a little concrete block, basically, for a house in the corner of Sanctuary Hills. And I put everything I needed in it, right? Everything you could objectively use in it. And it took one floor. So then I built a second floor recently full of windows, and my idea was to build up as high as I could.
Yeah.
And pretend in my head that if anybody attacked, we'd all pile in here and shoot out, right? Obviously that doesn't happen because the game mechanics don't work that well, that sort of thing just doesn't happen in the game. But that's what I was pretending in my head, until I realised that there is literally nothing for me to build for any of the other floors, because all the useful stuff's already been built. I'd have to fill it with utterly useless stuff that would get in the way and probably not sit properly, so it would look ridiculous. It just really, really, really annoyed me. That mechanic sums up, if I'm being brutally honest, why I expected Fallout 76 to be so negatively received as a Bethesda game, because it seems basically half-baked. That's the word I'm looking for, sorry. It's a half-baked idea that they've not thought through properly. They've just put it in and said, oh, people will love that, ho-ho, and ran away.
Right.
And it's just so frustrating, because I want to do it, but I know that I'm never going to get anything out of it that I want. I'm not going to be happy with anything that happens, so why put myself through that? Yeah,
but you said that from what you've seen of Fallout 76, not Fallout 74 as I was calling it last week, Fallout 76, it looks pretty much identical to Fallout 4.
The actual look of it is identical, like the graphics is identical.
How long is there between the two releases?
3 years.
Okay.
And the reason it looks identical is because they're using the same game engine.
Okay.
So because of that, it's limited, and that's why it looks identical. So yeah, in summation, I just find that so frustrating that there's a mechanic in there I really want to use that I can't, because I know it won't work. So I keep finding myself going back to it saying, oh no, there'll be something in there I can do. Oh no, there's not. It's so frustrating. I might just build a big tower for no reason and then just
Why not?
throw myself off the top
Have
of
a go. See what happens.
Throw myself off the top of the big tower.
Let's see what happens.
In power armor, you're immortal to fall damage. Invulnerable to fall damage, sorry.
Cool.
Power armor just lands on the ground no matter what height you fall from and sends out a shockwave.
Do you have anything else to say on Fallout 4?
I'm hoping that I'll have maximised my affinity with the characters I've got at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a result, I'll be able to do the side quests that I wanted to do in the DLC. I'm very close to maximising it on the character I've got at the minute, and I'm not sure if the other one that I've got to go can actually have it maximised outside of the main story.
Right.
So I'm probably going to maximise the one I've got at the moment, get his perk, and then pick another character. It might be the one that still has to be maximised, Valentine, or it might be Kate, because Kate's really quite cool to run around with. Or I might pick Ada, or
right.
Ava, the robot. Remember I told you from last week? With the spinny killing arm,
yes,
the Gatling laser,
yes.
and the Death Star head.
Yes.
The one last thing I would put in it, and I don't know if I mentioned this last week, and tell me if I did, but did I talk about an incident where my power armor got I have 2 sets of power armour. One that I sometimes give to my companions and one that I wear myself.
Right.
And my power armour was standing outside my house, the house that I built.
Yeah.
And a Deathclaw attacked the settlement. And when I defeated the Deathclaw and turned around, one of the caravan guards,
Yeah.
because there are these caravans that come by to trade, because I built a caravan post.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guards for those caravans had gotten into this second set of armour, because it was standing right next to the caravan post,
Yeah.
to fight the Deathclaw, but then didn't get out of it. And because of the stupid conversation mechanic, where when you walk up to certain characters and press A to talk, in previous games you'd enter a conversation mechanic. In this one, it just goes, blah, 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 and it gives some stupid, oh, it's a good job being a caravan guard, and that's it, right? So I couldn't ask him to get out. I couldn't shoot him out of it, because that would be murder, and you can't actually take the power armour frame. All you could have done was taken the armour pieces off it. I couldn't get the frame back. So I had to load it back up to 2 missions, 2 little Radiant Defence missions previous.
Yeah.
And redo them. But because they were random, it meant that I wasn't sent on one mission, which failed because of a bug. I got sent on a mission to defend a farm out to the west, to the east, sorry. And in that mission, if you get there, you have to talk to a certain person, but sometimes that person ends up trapped inside a big tank of water, and you can't talk to them to start the mission, so you have to kill them and fail it. It's the only way to progress.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then a mission later, I ended up with this situation where I had to reload it, and I hadn't saved it. So the mission I was given was no longer the mission to talk to that gentleman. It was a different one, because they're radiant and random.
Yeah.
So when I eventually did get the mission to talk to that gentleman, like 8 missions later, after I'd solved this problem with the power armour by putting it inside my house, I got sent out to speak to this gentleman, and he wasn't in the tank. And so I completed that mission. He joined up, his settlement joined up as part of the, I don't know, Minutemen, I think it is, the alliance that we have. And I think it is the Minutemen they joined, not me specifically. But he joined up. And so now, because it's a settlement that's allied with me, I can build there. So if he ever ends up in the tank again, there are ways that you can build things that allow him to walk out.
Mm-hmm.
So I found it really weird that a bug, basically, or a design flaw that allowed that guy to steal my power armour and force me to load it up is what fixed the problem with the... And I think that is basically what sums up Bethesda. I overlooked a bug because it was fixed because of a design flaw that allowed someone to steal something from me without consequence I couldn't get back, that forced me to load it up. And if you really want to know why Fallout 76 isn't good, that's why. So I'm hoping by next week to have actually done some of the DLC, because I'll put it this way, some of Fallout's DLC was not well received, and some of that DLC is receiving higher higher ratings than Fallout 76.
Interesting.
Shall we get on with the news?
Yes. I didn't really know how to comment on that.
I know, that's why I was just watching. So, I'm not entirely sure. See, I asked, we've got a wee agenda here, so we know we speak about all the stories we need to speak about. But at the top, Abigail's written
Article?
Well, it says that article has 2 L's and an I before the E. So that's articli.
I didn't even notice that. Do I have to bring up again? I'm dyslexic.
Yeah, but you're wearing your special magic glasses.
That doesn't solve me accidentally adding in letters to things.
Okay.
It just helps me read.
So the first piece of news is Article 13.
These glasses don't magically take it away.
I wish those glasses did take Article 13 away.
I'm at my dyslexia.
I know. Article 13 is an EU
Yeah, it happened. I think the day before we recorded last week, but we decided not to bring it up then.
Basically, it's just a directive or a law in the EU that companies have to guarantee before they share media content that all the copyright laws have been obeyed. And basically the way the system works at the moment is that you put a video up on YouTube or a similar site, and then if they find a copyright breach, you get in trouble and they take the video down.
Yeah.
But the Article 13 changes the law to YouTube have to know there's nothing wrong with the video, or they have to basically they have to block it going up in the first place, because they're legally responsible for all videos that go up that breach copyright. So essentially they have to pay a fine or compensation to anybody who discovers a copyright breach. Taking it down is not enough. They have to pay some form of compensation or fine.
Yeah.
So therefore, logically, YouTube will no longer put any videos from Europe on YouTube. So this Article 13 basically accidentally bans YouTube and sites like it, because it's too potentially dangerous for YouTube. They'll have to take everything down.
So is this actually a good thing that we've exited the European Union then?
No, because we're still subject to this.
Oh.
Well, one, no, because the tiny amount of jobs that come from YouTube aren't worth all the other jobs that come from not YouTube. Secondly, I have no real doubt, considering how much weight is being put behind this, that this is not going to go through. Because this is very bad for business.
I thought it had gone through.
No, it's still being debated.
Oh, interesting.
So that is that's the point here, is that I think there's so much weight behind this that they'll have to rewrite the law. Because you can't shut down all the sites like YouTube. You're putting too many people out of work.
Here's the thing. I thought the reason that this article was brought about was because you had artists, like music artists, who are getting annoyed at the fact that people are using their music.
Probably, yeah.
Now, I can understand that if you use an entire song.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand if you use half a song, but literally if you use like about 10 seconds of a song, like if you just spontaneously start singing a song,
yeah,
I think that's a little... That's extreme.
That's already the law. So why they're still pushing for it to be even more severe, I don't understand. It's really selfish. They're shutting down entire sectors. I think the only response is to stop buying music.
I mean, it's not just like the smaller YouTubers are getting affected by this. It's everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, even high profile YouTubers are getting dealt this blow.
Everybody in Europe will be shut down.
People have actually been joking that they're going to have to move to the US to be able to continue their careers.
Well, they're not joking, they will.
No, but they've been, at the moment it's a joke.
At the moment, I don't think they will, because there's too many sites that will have to immediately disappear, so I don't see this article going through as it stands. The European Union makes mistakes. It has weird stuff about it, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't pass articles like that. I would be shocked if that went through, because it's so damaging to so many people.
When will we find out if it's gone through or not? Do you actually know that? Because I thought it had.
No, I think it's still to be debated in a couple of weeks' time.
Right. Merry Christmas, everybody.
And remember, this is just to point out Brexit to anybody who doesn't know, who happens to be listening. The current deal being negotiated is that we would still have to obey Article 13, but wouldn't have a vote on it. Well, we will, because we're still in it at the minute. But if Article 13 comes up in 6 months' time,
we won't have a vote on it. But we'll still have to adhere to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I know of a vote something similar like that happened not that long ago that we had to adhere to, even though we didn't vote for it.
But
political. Yeah. So,
I live in Scotland. What's a vote supposed to mean? But I normally don't sign up to these sorts of things, but even I'm tempted to sign up to the petition about Article 13, because that's so damaging.
Yeah. I think if it does go through, it's going to really hit hard. And I think a lot of people will either be put out of work or they're going to have to move country, which I think is ridiculous. And I think that they are being far too harsh when people are literally just using 10, 20 seconds of a piece of music, not even the actual song, sometimes just singing it, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't
Because
see...
these are, I can understand if it's like smaller artists who aren't making a lot of money and they're using that kind of music.
Well, here's the thing I don't understand is that artists allow other artists to do cover songs.
Yeah.
But if I sing 10 seconds of Mamma Mia, I get executed on TV.
I also think that it's also kind of advertisement when people use their music.
Yeah.
It's a big part of advertisement.
All you have to do is look at the way the video game industry treats people playing their games on YouTube, and
Yeah.
you can see quite clearly how much money that brings in.
I will honestly wonder how much Dark Souls revenue increased after people were playing it.
Here's the thing for you. You just put this through your head. Why is somebody going to watch one of our videos for 15 seconds of a song they like, rather than find out what the song is and listen to the whole thing?
Yep.
It's just insanity. It's like Kanye West writing Article 13.
Oh my god, it's so what if he was? What if he's actually...
I honestly,
The Illuminati.
This is so one-sided. I wouldn't be surprised if it was people like him that were pushing it forward.
Okay, shall we move on now? Because I think we're getting a bit too heated with this.
I just don't like Kanye West.
So do many people don't like him. Okay, so we'll move on to the news, which is Fallout 76.
Would you like me to read this? Because I can...
Yes, but you've written it in your weird point.
So it's
Not bullet point, but it's a paragraph.
Yeah, Fallout 70. It's a paragraph of bullet points without the actual bullet points. So only I know where the bullet points come in. Fallout 76 fails figures.
Fallout 76 sales figures.
No, that's a Freudian slip. Because the sales figures are so bad, they're fails figures.
It's a fail. It's a big fail.
The Fallout 76 sales figures, GameIndustry.biz have reported physical sales in the United Kingdom are 82.4% lower compared to the Fallout 4 sales figures for the same sort of time frame. It's about a week. It made the highest UK retail. It beat.
Sorry, what beat it? Fallout 4 or Fallout 76?
What?
Fallout
4 76 sales figures are 82.4% lower compared to Fallout 4 during the first week of release, or about the sort of release date.
Okay.
So this is for physical copies only, because they don't really measure digital at the minute.
That's interesting.
But I don't think there's been enough of a move within that game time. Because Fallout 4 was an Xbox One game, you could have bought it digital. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think all of this 82.4% is people buying digital.
Yeah, you're thinking,
I think it's too big a drop. But it's not going to entirely be 82.4% less sales. Just to repeat, because I must have confused somebody. The physical sales in the United Kingdom of Fallout 76 are 82.4% lower compared to Fallout 4's physical sales in the UK in 2015. And those are two separate games. It made the highest UK retail, but only because of its huge price. The minimum price for Fallout 76 is 60 quid. Whereas Red Dead Redemption's been out since the end of October. So it's not 60 quid.
It's about 50 in shops I've seen.
Yeah, and Spyro started at 40.
I've seen it advertised for about 29.
Yeah, it's gone to 30 was what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So it's selling far less units, but it's making more money because people are buying the ridiculous versions of it. Like the Fallout 76 Power Armor version is like 130 quid.
Whoa!
Or 110.
Is that just for the game?
Like that. Oh no, there's extra stuff in it.
No, but I mean, just a game.
Yes, you don't actually get an operating set of power armor, so yeah, it's just a game.
No, I mean like nothing else. No, like Xbox coming with it. Like nothing. Like memorabilia. No. It's just the game.
No, there's memorabilia. I think there's a wee stand or something, and a pack of cards or something like that.
Still a lot.
It's ridiculous.
My goodness.
Who
are out there? Are you paying £130 for a game? Because if you are, I think you need to reevaluate some things in your life.
Like how much money you give to charity. Worldwide Fallout sales for Fallout 4 at release worldwide, not just UK, was 5.2 million physical copies
Yes.
in 2015.
I was waiting for you to continue.
So if the UK drop is applied worldwide, then they've sold less than 950,000 units of Fallout 76 at release. Physical copies, obviously.
Yeah.
So there's a few things I want to talk about why this game's not being well received. And
Can I just say, you asked me to do something, I forgot to do it.
yes, that's fine. You're fired.
Oh, okay, I'll take all my recording equipment with me. Good luck.
Okay, you're no longer the tech wizard. You're the tech. What's the darling assistant or something like that?
Apprentice.
No. What's the thing that the magician has? The
Apprentice.
No, a magician on stage has a woman who's just supposed
I'm
to.
trying to remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Assistant? The magician's assistant.
If it's a something assistant, like attractive assistant or.
Beautiful assistant?
Yeah, that's it. So you're just the assistant.
It wasn't. Not even a beautiful.
You're not even wanting a beautiful after this gross dereliction of. Dereliction? That's not right. Dereliction of duty. I seem to have some sort
Is a beautiful assistant? That's going to bug me now.
Anyway. So we did both watch a little bit of a gameplay video that somebody posted up. Giant Bomb, just to give them a shout. Because I always give them a shout.
That's the thing I forgot to do.
Yeah, I know. I think everybody figured it out.
I need to look this up now because that's going to drive me crazy.
So basically, and I think you can remember this, I also sent you some screenshots of some gameplay of Fallout 4 that I had.
Yes.
And we compared the look, and it's identical.
Yes.
All the textures are basically the exact same, and I've heard some people say that they've slightly spruced them up. No, they haven't. They have not spruced it up at all properly. It's just the same as what it was.
I think
before.
my comment to you was, is this all Fallout 4 or is this all Fallout 76? Because I couldn't differentiate between the two.
The pictures were Fallout 4 and the video was 76. Now for this podcast, Abigail was supposed to rewatch the video. But she does, I think at least, I do remember her talking to me the first time she watched it, and she did say that it was a bit
Samey.
a bit difficult to tell the difference between the two. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, she will be punished. She'll be docked 6 months' wages.
I don't make anything from this. How can you dock my wages?
Quite easily, because you don't make anything from this. It's not even a legal thing. I can just say, I'm not paying you nothing for 6 months. Done.
That's a bit harsh, 6 months for forgetting to watch a video.
And I think the reason, it's nothing either way. I could say 10 years and it would still be nothing.
I'm going to dock you.
You can't. I'm your boss.
Excuse me? Who said you were the boss? You're not the boss.
Yeah.
It's an equal partnership. I thought that was the idea.
Yeah, equal ownership. But when it comes to actually having somebody in charge, that's me. Baby.
You best take that back.
Anyway, so it looks basically identical, and the reason for that is that the game engine they've used is the same. I think they've been using the same since Skyrim. I don't know if they changed after Oblivion, but the point is that the game engine's too old. It can't make anything look better, so it just looks awful. It genuinely just does look absolutely terrible. Like a typical Bethesda game, it's released with an awful lot of bugs in it.
Stop, there's sound. Oh, was that your tummy?
That was my tummy. Yeah, sorry.
It sounded like something scraping on the ground.
Yeah, I was eating rocks yesterday. Remember, we don't get paid anything for this.
I still eat real food.
Yeah, but you have another job. It's full of bugs, and by bugs I don't mean creatures, I mean coding bugs, which cause like bodies to flap around the place and buildings to pop in and out of existence and all that sort of jazz. And I think it was summed up quite nicely by sort of just some people complaining online saying that Fallout 76 was not finished when it was released. I said that last week. It's like a beta that's still been released and they've not filled it in. But I didn't really appreciate just how bad some of the bugs are. Like with enemies running at you and then you kill them, but you're constantly stuck aiming at them. Because your reticle is red the whole time, and their health bar is above you with their name, but you've already killed them. So
I was like imagining like you're trying to like run away, but like your arms are just like stuck out to the side, still shooting at somebody.
Well, actually, there was one bug I saw where a creature ran. One person found one of the other humans. Sorry, the other players. Their arms were twice as long as they should have been. And there was another bug where a creature ran at a guy and its head wasn't there.
It's the headless horseman.
Right. It's just a headless man.
The headless horseman.
I don't think there are horses in this environment. It's just not finished. It's the Bethesda have released it. And see, Bethesda games always got away with having buggy content, even if some of these bugs were game breaking. And the reason for that was simple. The games underneath were amazing.
What other games have Bethesda?
Bethesda.
Like the name Beth.
Bethesda.
Bethesda.
Yes.
What other games have they released?
They've made things, the Elder Scrolls games.
Right.
They've made. Remember I showed you the Skyrim trailer?
Yeah, that's the one I really wanted to play.
Yes, and they've made the previous Fallout games after. Well, they made Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, but they didn't make New Vegas, which was actually the best one. And they made Oblivion and Morrowind and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think they were also involved in Rage, which was terrible, but I'm thinking Rage 2 looks very, very good. And they're making Starfield, which I'm looking forward to, and Elder Scrolls 6. But the simple fact of the matter is that they were given a pass those times when they shouldn't have been, because the content underlying the bugs was amazingly enjoyable. These are really amazing games.
No, I can.
But Fallout 76 is an absolute beep storm. It just doesn't work.
I can understand that, because from again, trying to bring my experience into this.
Mm-hmm. That's why you're here.
Well, not experience, what I know about. You know, I can sit watching a TV show or a movie and something about it will just bug me constantly, but I'll sit there and watch it because it is just so beautifully done. It's like the Lemony Snicket film, the one of Jim Carrey.
Aye.
Like, I love the look of that movie, and there's so many great things about it, but there's also some very, very bad things, and it's like a battle trying to like see the good above the bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I
actually kind of want to go watch that movie now. Might go watch it on Netflix later.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but in this particular instance, it's not about the good above the bad. Some people didn't like Bethesda games because they were so buggy. This is about the bad underlying the bad.
Right.
Because there is no story, there's no NPC, there's nothing interesting or worthwhile in that game. And then you've got the bugs. I heard one person saying that they avoided major towns and cities in the game because they would be attacked by so many bad guys that the game would start to slow down.
Yeah.
So you couldn't play it because you were like jittering. And so they couldn't play it properly because
like stop motion.
They couldn't adventure through half the world because they couldn't go into the settlements.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point in that? The only thing this game can do is allow you to adventure, and you're blocked from entering certain settlements because you might get swarmed. It's just stupid.
This is terrible news.
One other little piece of information on the bad side of this equation is that Fallout has been collapsing in quality since the post-release of 4. A lot of the DLCs for Fallout 4 were absolutely slated, and some of them were completely stupid, like DLC packs that basically just added to your ability to build things but never actually fixed the problem with
right, so they were just basically add-ons. They weren't fixing a problem.
Well,
not even good add-ons, it sounds like.
Well, no, because all DLC are just add-ons. What you're thinking of are patches.
Yeah.
Patches repair problems.
Sorry, yes.
But the point is that these DLC were... they were just adding new things that you could buy. So you could build in the sort of settlement building mechanic, but they never bothered to fix the underlying problems with that. And the stuff they added was sort of boring anyway. So it's just absolutely a waste of money.
Yeah.
But some of the actual... I've played one of the DLC that adds actual story content, and it's not to the main story, but sort of side quest content, and I've found it really enjoyable. But most of the others are absolute nonsense. That particular one allows you to build a piece of equipment that allows you to then construct your own robots, which is really fun. I did like that. But in general, the other DLC packs are just terrible. And they got slated in review because they were absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And this game got a worse review score than the terrible DLC. I heard somebody suggesting that if they wanted to make a game like this, they should have added it as like a 20 quid DLC pack to Fallout 4.
Oh, right.
The Creation Club was absolutely slated in Fallout 4 because to buy the content you had to use real money. There's things like paint jobs for your clothes, your armour and stuff like that. You had
That
to spend
sounds
real
rubbish.
money. See, in this, they've got the Atom shop or whatever it is where you spend atoms, and atoms can be earned by doing a set of challenges that they give you in the game, along with which don't reset, along with a daily and weekly challenges.
Right.
So you get 4,000 atoms from the main challenges that don't reset, and then 570, I think it is, a week from the daily and weekly challenges, right? But you can also buy atoms. Now here's the stupid... There's some of the stuff is reasonably priced, but other stuff is just stupid.
Yeah.
So there's a lamp in there for 500 atoms. That's an entire week of getting nearly all the stuff. The most expensive thing I saw was 1,800 atoms for a paint job for power armor. That would take you an entire month, right? If you take out the non-recycling, non-renewing, what's the word I'm looking for? The non-resetting challenges. Only if you just take into account the weekly, daily. And there's hundreds and hundreds of items, so you're going to be there for ages trying to get all this stuff. Or you buy the atoms with real money, and it's basically 100 atoms is $1.
Right.
So it's probably £1 in Britain. They've probably not changed the price much. That's £5 for a lamp. 18 quid for a paint job for your armour. Or you're playing it for a month just to save up the...
That's ridiculous.
And they've said that player-created mods can't be added until next November. So you're waiting a year to bleed everybody dry. That's what they're doing. They're waiting a year to get everybody to buy the atoms.
Yeah.
Before they put in free stuff.
I'm not happy with this. I'm quite sad.
Yeah. This is the fundamental issue, though, is that even if you clean up Fallout 76's bugs and fix the Creation Club and all the other mess, fundamentally, the game cannot be saved because it has a complete lack of story and NPCs. All the missions that you get are basically finding a computer terminal or a robot asking you to do something, right? And here's the stupid thing about the robot asking you to do stuff. You've had to bring someone in to voice the robot. Just bring someone in to voice a human. The one thing in all of Fallout, cookie mental NPCs and the story, they brought you in to play it. And now they've got both of them gone. What's the point? That's just not going to work. It'd be like removing magic and swords from Elder Scrolls. You're just running around just like stealing people's books and reading them in the corner. That's the whole game. It's just stupid. Imagine, that's basically the good thing, the good way of putting this. Imagine if they took the story and the NPCs out of, not Fallout, but if they took it out of Skyrim. All the NPCs, so basically all the quests, and all of the story, gone. Nobody would play that game.
Nope. Shall we continue on to the next story now?
I'm just going to round off by saying that Fallout 76, the only way they could save this game is by putting in proper questline and NPCs but they can't because they've built up the game about not being about other people, so it's completely unsalvageable. And one last little point about it is that they've still got the same base building mechanic, and it's much more important in this because you have to build your own base. It's extremely important in the game's concept, but you're limited in how much items you can take and store to then use to build stuff, because you've got 24 people running around the world at the same time. The game's going to have to track hundreds of thousands of items, so they're limited in how many you can have. So they're inherently limiting a core concept after having taken out all of the others. There's very little point to this game. I think your stomach agrees. There's absolutely no point to this game at all. So I don't think it's salvageable.
I could feel it like start to bubble. I was like, oh, maybe that was just a tiny I was like...
But apparently this game is more fun to play in multiplayer with other people, but that's not... that. Fair enough, I'll give it a go at some point, but the simple fact of the matter is, that's not a game mechanic. You can't say multiplayer is a game mechanic. You have to sell it as a purely multiplayer experience then. You can't just say it's a game mechanic. So it's pathetic, basically, what they've done here. And if you enjoy the game, have at it. I'm glad somebody does. But if you've bought this and you hate it, I feel sorry for you. You know, you have my thoughts, because it seems to be they've traded on the Fallout name and the Bethesda name and then muffed you over. I genuinely don't think Bethesda will get away with releasing a game that bad when it comes to being buggy ever again. They've spent that goodwill. It's gone now.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll move on.
Please.
Yeah. Square Enix have posted a loss of $33 million.
Is that how you pronounce it? Enix?
Yeah, that's how I pronounce it. And everybody else can just be wrong.
I thought it was pronounced Inks.
Now, they're famous for making releasing things like the previous Hitman game, no subtitle, for Final Fantasy, for games like that. Now, they've posted a loss of $33 million. And there's some bad news and some good news here, and then I'll sort of round up where I think that leaves them. On the bad news, Life is Strange debuted with a quarter of the sales of the original. And in the past, they've made some train wrecks of Final Fantasy games. So Final Fantasy 13 was terrible.
Right.
Remember I spoke about this last week. They're re-releasing them for the consoles, and I'm really looking forward to playing Final Fantasy 13 Part 3 so I can hate all of them equally. And that's really... when they made Final Fantasy 13 and ruined it, they doubled down on it by making a Part 2, and then they ruined that, so they doubled down on it by making a Part 3. Now, I'm not inherently against the idea that that game might have been designed as a 3-parter anyway.
Right.
But after making such a bad first game, they still kept doubling down. So by the end of 13.3, I don't think they had anywhere near as many people buying them, and they had lost a lot of their core group of fans because they'd made such bad games. And then they made 14, which was an online game, and it was so bad they had to take it down and completely remake it. And it was called A Realm Reborn. That's how bad that game was.
Whoa.
Final Fantasy 15 took years to make, like 7 or 8. And then they decided they were making DLC for it, and they eventually had to cancel the DLC. Now that's a good thing, because if it wasn't working financially, it's sort of good that they cancelled it.
Yeah.
Because it was the first time they've made a decision to not, double down on a mistake. But Final Fantasy 15 for me is different, because technically, objectively, from what I've heard from James Gray, who's been on the site before, it's objectively a fantastic game. It just didn't sell very well, and I think Final Fantasy 15 suffered from
because
the fact
of the past
that 13
mistakes.
and 14 were received so badly.
Yeah. Have you played all the Final Fantasy games?
Oh no, nowhere near it. I don't think I've ever completed one of them.
Really?
But I have played, to some degree I have played 7, 8, 9, and I have completed 13.1 and 13.2. But I don't know if 13.3 has to be included for you to have played all of 13, if you see what I mean.
I would think it had to.
So I'm missing that one.
Right.
But I've heard fantastic things, and here's where the good news comes in, right? They're putting work into the upcoming remasters and backpack ports, which is like So I mentioned before they were making 13.3 backwards compatible for the Xbox.
Yes.
And apparently they're also making sort of remasters for, I think, both consoles, but I'm not sure about that, in the form of 10 Part 2, which came out for PlayStation 2.
Right.
There's recently been a remastering of, I think 12 is coming, and I think somebody remastered 11? Something like that.
Yeah.
And they have a Final Fantasy just a proper, full, complete remake of Final Fantasy VII coming in a few years' time. Not just a remaster.
Is that like the... I hear a lot about Final Fantasy
Final
VII.
Fantasy VII is considered the best, and it's the first one that came out on it came out on PlayStation 1.
Right.
And it was the first one that was officially released in the West.
Okay.
It was that good. And it's absolutely fantastic, but it's... So how would I describe it? It's sort of like Pokemon. You
Right.
run around the world, but from above, like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Did you ever play it?
Yes, I did play Pokemon. I hated it.
You're above and you're running around.
Yes.
It's a lot better graphics than Pokemon, but it's like that. And then you get into a fight and suddenly you're turn-based and there's 3 characters fighting the enemy and you're behind them telling them what to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, right? I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't like that anymore. You're now third person behind the character running around ground floor. You're not above at a weird angle, you're right behind them.
Yeah.
And you're in amongst people. So you're like, instead of being above buildings, you're down walking among them, looking at them like an actual character.
Yeah.
It's like, if I send you a video of Final Fantasy 15, that's what this will look like from
Right.
that point of view. And it looks incredible. It's a full remake. Another fact on the upside for them, or another pro, is that Just Cause 4 is about to be released, and I don't think those games cost a ton to make, not anywhere near like Final Fantasy 7 remake or Final Fantasy 15. So that hopefully will bring them quite a bit of money and profit, balance the books a bit. And also Kingdom Hearts 3 is on the way, which is... You don't even need to advertise Kingdom Hearts 3. It's got a huge following, hardcore following.
That's
People are
where
gonna
it's
buy
like
that.
an amalgamation of different characters from different games, isn't it?
With Disney.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to sell a lot anyway. And Dragon Quest 11 has sold very, very well. It beat the series record.
Right.
So they've done very, very well. So I think this is just a case of them having doubled down on some things that didn't work. But they've got plenty more in the pipeline to make up for it. Also, they've recently advertised a job for a AAA game developer for PlayStation 5. So it looks as if they're preparing to make a big game for the next generation of consoles. So I don't think they're in any financial difficulty. They just don't want to have a repeat of $33 million loss.
No.
But I'm looking forward to some of the stuff they've got coming. I'm very disappointed that the DLC got cancelled for 15 because I want to play 15. I highly recommend it. If you can afford to buy it. Buy the Royal Edition. I think that's the one with everything in it.
Yeah.
That's the one James got, and he says he loved it. So I'm kind of disappointed, but I understand why they did it from a business point of view.
Yeah.
And I'd rather see a Final Fantasy 16 made as well as 15 in the future that people bought than the company disappear.
I'm not surprised that Life is Strange 2 only debuted with a quarter.
Because of all the difficulty with bugs trying to get that game.
Yeah, because it all started with what was it called? Captain Spirit. Yeah, because like I said I couldn't play it because I needed I needed a gamer computer to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand is this was a game that pretty much anybody could, because I could play it. I could play Life is Strange, no problem on my laptop. But I would need a gamer's computer to play Captain Spirit, and people are saying this is what's going to happen with Life is Strange 2, so it looks like that's what's happened.
Yeah, and they've not bought it because of it.
Yeah. Because not everybody, because gamer computers are very expensive.
Yeah, as we know.
I know, I cry when I look at the prices. I'm like, I need one, but I can't afford one.
But if I was to sum up the issue with Square Enix, it would be I really don't want them to go because they make a lot of the stuff I like.
Yeah, because again, the Final Fantasy games, and Kingdom of Hearts, those are, even somebody who doesn't know gaming all that well, those are the games we always heard about growing up.
Yeah.
Those were the biggest games, it looked like, and the most amazing to look at and play.
Yeah. 2 small stories coming up next. One
Spyro!
is Spyro. Spyro
Has no
has
subtitles.
no subtitles in it. GameInformer.com reported that the Reignited Trilogy has no subtitles because Activision chose not to put them in. The defence was in previous games they didn't have any subtitles in them, so they were trying to maintain the integrity of the past experience. However, that makes absolutely no sense because they also recorded Spyro in different languages that weren't there previously. Activision also spoke of the fact that there is no industry standard for subtitles, so there was no requirement for them to put them in, and therefore it was a developer decision not to put them in.
I think that's bad form. They should have put subtitles in.
It's just stupid. It's just absolutely stupid. Gaming is inclusive because it doesn't matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter what
Doesn't matter, yeah.
height you are, what age you are, what race you are. If you can pick up a controller, you're in. And there's been a lot of companies recently, a lot of charities working to try and make games as disabled friendly as possible. And if you have difficulty hearing or cannot hear, Spyro is essentially unplayable now because you can't follow the stories because there's no subtitles. It's just such a silly wee decision to make.
I'm trying to think. There are subtitles in Spyro.
Some of the later games might have it.
In Year of the Dragon. The third, there was 1, 2, then 3, like the one I've played, which is Year of the Dragon. There are subtitles. Well, it's not subtitles, but there's like a text box.
That's not subtitles. Text
It's
box.
kind of like
no, text box is how they communicated in game during gameplay instead of a cutscene. This has no subtitles written at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
So they can't follow the story.
There should be subtitles. If you have the ability to put subtitles in a game, you should put subtitles in a game.
And to be honest with you, if they're using the fact there's no industry standard,
there needs to be an industry
what
standard.
They do? Just change the law.
Yeah.
Just change the law so all video games have to have subtitle options available.
I've seen a lot of people complaining about this, yeah.
It's not difficult. It's difficult to put them in. It's not difficult to change the law to include disabled people.
No.
Easy. Yeah, I'm heavily in favour if anybody's listening to this and you can talk to somebody in the political system that if they're going to use the industry standard as a defence, just force them to put subtitles in.
Yeah.
If they can argue... Here's the thing, yeah. If they can argue that there's a reason for there being no subtitles, then fair enough. But if it's laziness, then no.
Okay.
So in the case of like The Quiet Man, they didn't put subtitles in because they were attempting to show you what it would be like to be deaf, where you can't hear anything, so you can't join in.
Oh.
Now they failed to do that miserably. The game makes no sense and it's terrible. But that should be perfectly allowed. But this, no. No, there's a difference between a game that bans deaf people from joining in and is trying to demonstrate what it's like to be deaf.
No, I agree. There should be, if you can put subtitles in a game, you should be able to put You should put subtitles in a game. I thought they had to. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, like I said, I think there is times when you can remove them or disable them for a reason. You know, like The Quiet Man puts subtitles in after you've played it once, or it puts voice acting in after you've played it, right? But that's a developer decision, and you can say, look, we've put them in, but we want people to play it through first without them so they can experience this experience first, and then it's there if they go back.
Right.
It's, basically, you're not discriminating there because nobody can hear it, whether they're deaf or not. You see the difference?
Yeah.
Whereas with Spyro, if you're deaf, you just can't join in. So you could still leave that room for developer decisions without being basically racist. Microsoft have purchased a small company called InXile, makers of Wasteland. It's an original Fallout style RPG, so it's sort of like from above tactical RPG rather than a first/third person action shooter RPG. And it appears that they aren't being very possessive of their new purchase. Wasteland 3, which will be developed by InXile, will still release for PlayStation 4, and so will The Bard's Tale 4, which I want to play. That's still going to release for Sony. But But Microsoft have demonstrated an interest in a special project that InXile is preparing to work on, and it's probably why Microsoft bought InXile. InXile have been referring to it as a special project that they're working on. They've not really given many details. Oh, pardon me. Just have to grow a wee bit, right? Stop being 14. An interest in a special project that InXile is working on. And this is probably why they've bought them. If Microsoft won't give them money the same way that they normally do, InXile will have to fund themselves as per, but they might open the coffers every now and again for a little bit of special investment.
Yeah.
And that might allow InXile to make AAA games. Because InXile, one of the games they released recently, it was 50 hours of story, 350 voiced characters, and that sort of storyline, AAA games sometimes fail to do that. And these guys they've got 35 developers, that was the other one. AAA games with hundreds of developers sometimes struggle to make that sort of massive a game, and yet this company's doing it with 35. So it's not tiny, it's sort of middle of the road to slightly small, but to do that with that many people, or that few a number of people, is incredible. So if they get access to a little bit of AAA money, they could make something really special.
Right.
And I think it's the same reason Microsoft bought Obsidian. Obsidian needed to be fixed financially, not like just given money because they had a debt, but actually balanced properly. Their financial setup was wrong. And then they needed to be given just a wee bit of AAA just to make something really special, and I think that's why Microsoft have bought it.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what InXile do, because I've seen a bit of Wasteland, actually I've never played, and I've seen a couple of hours of Bard's Tale 4. It seems to be set in Scotland, or a fictitious place like Scotland with lots of Scottish people in it, but medieval sort of, and with magic and alcohol. Apparently the main character gets special powers by getting drunk.
I think most Scots think that on a Saturday night.
Do you know that we've got over a quarter of our young people don't drink alcohol?
Yeah, because we understand it's so fattening.
No, that is not what we understand at all. How? You sounded like you were from LA. Oh, the calories. Oh my God.
But I thought that was why. And also because most people
drinking it because they want their liver to work. Maniac.
Also, this is probably not vegan.
How is it not vegan?
I'm joking.
I can't tell anymore. You're just a maniac. What's your opinion of the InXile story? Microsoft's recent purchasing spree.
Well, it seems like you say, they're not being very possessive, which I think is good. So they're kind of being fair to everybody else, where I don't think anybody else would be quite as fair.
I think that demonstrates as well that they're more interested.
They're more interested in the player than...
No, they're more interested in the special project that's coming up, but also they don't want to have to too heavily fund InXile, so they allow InXile to make money by selling to PlayStation and other consoles.
Yeah. So that's my opinion. Shall we just quickly finish with this last little bit of interesting news?
Yeah, because that is... I mean, it sounds like they're doing roadworks up my nose.
So... it finally happened, folks. I've bought an Xbox in the Black Friday sales. And it took a long time to decide what deal I was going to get. Unfortunately, there was one that Tommy suggested. I was like, oh, it'll still be there the next day. And it was there in the morning, and it wasn't there in the afternoon when I went to go check. So I had to go with a different deal.
I don't know why you waited till the morning, let alone then again till the
afternoon.
Because
I didn't know if I wanted to do that, and unfortunately I couldn't do it. So I bought the Xbox.
A different deal.
Which is a different deal, which comes with Spyro, which I'm quite excited about to play.
That was, I think that was really...
that was really the main thing.
That was key, because it's a good linker game for you.
And it also came with Battlefield 5, and interesting enough, also Fallout 76, which was on quite a lot of deals, I noticed. A lot of Xboxes came with a copy of Fallout 76.
I wouldn't be... Also, the fact that game was sold near the Black Friday sort of sales, I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to sell extra units to try and make up for the loss.
Yeah.
Because...
I'll give it a go, though.
Yeah, I think for them it's more about... like Destiny 2 recently handed away free copies, I think, to try and get gamers back to playing it.
Yeah.
And it might be similar here. That's why they're giving away copies of the game at significantly reduced cost.
Well, it wasn't that bad. Three games in a console I got, which wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So I will give a go at. I'll definitely be playing Spyro first.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let you guys know what I think about that.
Aye. And how angry you are at the subtitles.
I might go to play Vice City as Tommy suggested I do. Back on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, flicking back and forth might be interesting.
Yeah, just to see, oh my goodness, gaming has progressed so much. So that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Just to let you guys know. I am now part of the 2018 gaming society.
But I am very happy that you have a game, and there are quite a few online free games that we could play together while your game library is still quite small.
Because you suggested, you kept kind of like gearing me to buy Forza Horizon 4.
No, I wasn't pushing you towards that.
It felt like it.
It's just that the best deals other than the one you had were always a Forza deal.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to suggest you might want to look at that.
Yeah, but then I suggested I don't like driving games, and you're like, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's it.
I was just proffering you another option. So
shall we end this before
I think we should because that construction work.
So I'm gonna say goodbye, everybody.
See if we listen to this back and there's no construction work. We've gone totally insane.
So you could like this video, please, and subscribe to our channel down below. That'd be absolutely fantastic. If you'd like to leave a comment, that'd be amazing as well. And you can follow us on Facebook at overshadow.shadowcast, and you can email us at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com. All information will be in the description box below.
Links as well. And you've done everything.
I know. So I will say goodbye. And Tommy also says goodbye.
Do I get to say bye-bye myself, or are you going to do it for me?
I'll let you.
Alright, okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.